It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America and around the planet, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Well, there is a reason why the Democrats were out in full force over the weekend attempting to defend Joe Biden, and that there's absolutely no evidence, zero, about the president being involved in any of his son's business dealings. That's because Devon Archer, a former Biden family business associate, will be providing closed-door testimony to congressional investigators. Let me see, just 5 hours from now. And I want to read this because this is really, you had talked about some of those emails that have been released.
Yeah.
Listen to this, though. This is from the Washington Times. It says, Devon Archer will likely be in no mood to shield the First family from incrimination in shady foreign deals. Archer, who is staring down a year-long prison sentence for security fraud, thought Hunter Biden and President Biden could have protected him from conviction. Messages uncovered on Hunter Biden's discarded laptop computer show his close partnership with Archer unraveling in March of 2019 as Archer tried to overturn his conviction and sentence of 1 year plus 1 day in prison. Archer sent a series of texts asking Hunter Biden, "Why did your dad's administration appointees arrest me and try to put me in jail? Just curious. Some of our partners are asking out here." Federal law enforcement arrested Archer in May of 2016 when Vice President Biden was concluding his second term in the Obama administration. Archer and 6 others were charged with defrauding a Native American tribe of more than $60 million and using the money to pay for their own personal expenses, homes, cars, travel, jewelry, according to court records. Before his arrest, Archer was one of Hunter Biden's closest business associates. He helped the Biden family secure millions of dollars from deals involving Ukraine, China, and Russia. If you want to put into perspective why, for example, the Department of Justice, the Southern District of New York, wrote a letter to the judge saying, you need to set a date that he reports to prison, and did it over the weekend, Comer said, this may be obstruction of justice here. Now, they're allowed to do that, but it's the timing. They're attempting to intimidate my witness is what they're trying to do, is what Comer was saying. But you wonder why, if that's a possibility, why they were doing this and why you had the Democrats out in full force. Archer met with Vice President Biden in the White House and was pictured alongside him on a golf course. He served with Hunter Biden on the board of Ukrainian energy firm Burisma, which allegedly paid the two men millions of dollars to obtain the vice president's help in shooing off a prosecutor investigating the company. His close connections did not spare him prosecution and conviction. And just so you know, Archer's mindset going into this. By the way, you saw his lawyer said this isn't going to affect his testimony at all.
No.
His lawyer said that over the weekend.
Yeah.
Archer's 2019 text to Hunter Biden show frustration and fear about his legal problems and his willingness to invoke the suspicious business deals that yielded millions of dollars in profits for as many as 10 Biden family members. Quote, "Why would they try to ruin my family and destroy my kids, and no one from your families sidestepped in and at least tried to help me?" Archer wrote to Hunter Biden. "I don't get it. And I'm depressed. This is a quote now, bunch of these Asians getting in my head and asking me the same, so just curious what I should answer." That's a quote, and that was the end of quote, the answer.
Yeah.
Archer may have been referring to executives from the now defunct Chinese energy firm CEFC and the Associated State Energy HK Limited, which have ties to the Chinese Communist Party. company officials provided millions of dollars to the Biden family and a small group of business associates, including Archer, who helped facilitate the deals. House investigators are eager to talk with Archer about specific payments the Bidens received from Chinese nationals and other foreign entities, as well as a paid FBI informant's claim that Hunter Biden and Vice President Biden were paid a $5 million bribe by Burisma's CEO. Archer is poised to provide key information to help investigators piece together the extent of Mr. Biden's involvement in his son's business deals, which would contradict the president's claim that he knew nothing about them. Archer is expected to tell House investigators that Hunter Biden pitched his father by phone into the middle of his business deals on as many as 24 occasions. One media outlet reported that Archer is hiding after receiving threats. His New York-based attorney did not respond to a request for a comment about those reported threats. In a statement released last week, Mr. Schwartz said there have been many leaks and much speculation about Archer's potential statement to the Oversight Committee, but next week Archer will get to speak for himself. So there you go. And when you look at it, it's because in June, let me just finish reading these couple of censors because it covers something that happened over the weekend. In June, the Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals rejected Archer's efforts to have the conviction and his sentence thrown out. Federal prosecutors sent a letter Saturday asking the judge to set a date and time for Archer to surrender and start his prison term. Representative James Comer, head of the House Oversight and Accountability Committee, raised questions about the timing of the letter on Fox News. Quote, "It's odd that it was issued on a Saturday, and it's odd that it's right before he's scheduled to come in and have an opportunity to speak in front of the House Oversight Committee and tell the American people the truth about what really went on with Burisma." In Archer's 2019 text message exchange with Hunter Biden over his legal problems, the president's son responding with condescending statements that isn't likely to engender Archer's loyalty as he testifies before House lawmakers while facing federal prison. In the 2019 text message exchange, Hunter Biden told Archer that his family could not rescue him from prosecution because there's no connection or control between the Justice Department and the Biden vice presidency. So there you go. It's going to be an interesting day. But this could, like I said, this could be the thing that blows everything to pieces because this is right here. Devon Archer, this is somebody who was even involved more than Bob Ulinsky was.
Yeah,
in everything,
right,
and
right.
was key
right.
to all of these specific deals, especially with the Chinese. So this is going to be interesting because, as we have talked about, they have evolved now. The White House last week officially evolved when Karine Jean-Pierre, for the first time, did not say that Biden knew nothing about his son's business dealings, but he never did business, with his son.
Right.
That was a change. She claimed she's always been stating the same thing. Everybody knew she was gaslighting. She knew she was lying. Everybody in that press room knew she was lying. Everybody watching that press briefing knew she was lying. And she knew. Well, everybody knew that she was lying. And she knew that everybody knew that she was lying. And she said it anyway.
Well, and now it's just becoming where everyone in the room seems to be looking at each other going, what's going on? Is this actually happening?
Yeah.
Is the goalpost actually, are they really trying to move the goalpost? It's almost as she's moving it as they're actually talking. It won't be long before her answer will change within one daily presser, within the 30, 40 minutes she's at the podium. At the beginning, she'll say one thing, and then at the end, the answer will change completely. That's how fast the walls are closing in.
And will this be the last weekend that you'll have Democrats from Congress go on and say there's absolutely no evidence that Joe Biden was involved in any business activities with his father, with his son whatsoever?
No.
Is this the last weekend you're going to hear that? Because it's when you see it to begin with, it's total gaslighting, and you all know it.
Sure.
And it was like their only defense was, well, you had the prosecutor who was appointed by Trump, been investigating this for 5 years and found nothing on Joe.
Yeah.
Well, no, the IRS whistleblowers say they weren't allowed to investigate anything about Joe. They were told Joe was off limits.
Yeah.
So that's a defense they're using that can be torn apart like that. What do they start doing a week from now? When does it start changing? Because even Jim Hines, a Democrat representative, who said, well, no, Hunter Biden must be held accountable. But Joe Biden, there's no evidence at all. Zero. There's not nothing. There's not one single bit of evidence that Joe might have been involved in this whatsoever. Well, except for the 20 LLCs, the money being funneled to at least 9 or 10 different members of the Biden family, and he knew nothing about it. And what business were they in? What was Hunter saying? And what about? And like I said, with Devin Archer, you could get a lot deeper today, which is why I believe there's a lot of fear right now in Democrats, because I think Democrats believe that probably sooner rather than later, they need to make a decision whether they need to turn on this, because otherwise Biden, who knows, he might stay no matter what. Well, no, until he is forced out.
That's a great point, because we've said it during the Trump thing. If they'll do this to Trump, don't believe they won't come after you, the average everyday person. That's not, back then, when it started, a presidential candidate and then became president. Those now that were closest to Hunter look at this and go, it's only a matter of time before he throws me under the bus, potentially. So a Devin Archer or whoever has been there before realizes everything's closing in on Hunter, and it's really this way with any investigation. But there's not been one at this level that I can think of.
No, I've never.
So they have to know that it's every man for himself.
Yeah. And anything he can get to get leniency on this sentence,
certainly,
which he may be able to get, especially if they write a letter. This is what makes the whistleblower thing especially interesting too. It's not just a whistleblower that this wrongdoing was going on in government. They spent $1,200 on a hammer. They obstructed justice, is what they're saying.
Massive in its scale. In fact, unprecedented in its scale. Who wants to be that whistleblower? Not me. Thank goodness we had those, at least 2 so far. And now, who knows what Devin Archer will say. But, this is the thing that came out over the weekend in the media. That they were, at first, the first version was they were going to try and arrest him or whatever. How is that not flexing on Devin Archer? When you look at the Matt Taibbi testimony, and we got word that they actually came to his door at his home the morning that he testified on Capitol Hill.
Right.
That's flexing.
About something where the IRS owed him money.
Right. Yeah. When does that ever happen? Never. Wow.
86690 Red Eye.
A USDA report studying concentration in the food retail industry and its impacts on competition reveals the following findings. In most metropolitan areas, 5 to 6 store chains account for most supermarket sales. While higher concentration in a market can result in cases of higher prices, likewise, in some cases of concentration caused by economies of scale, prices can be lowered as productivity improves. USDA economic researcher James McDonald says a present example is used in the report to illustrate concentration and competition.
There's a proposed merger between Albertsons and Kroger, the third and fourth largest grocery chains in the United States. And what we hope to do is outfit our readers with the understanding of what the competition issues might be in that merger and what types of decisions antitrust enforcers might take in evaluating that merger.
I'm Rod Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
This report is made possible by Cenex Roadmaster XL Premium Diesel and Citgo Lubricants.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Hurley, and I'm Gary McNamara. So I'm here looking at Twitter, and it says trending the X.
But
trending on Twitter, the X.
Okay. And everybody over the weekend who apparently wasn't following
I know.
was like, what happened? What just happened?
What's an X?
Like, calm down. It's Twitter. It's just Twitter. Everything's going to be okay. I mean, we're still doomed. But try not to freak out just yet.
All right, I'm trying to figure out this one. Illinois Governor Pritzker has signed a law into plan that allows foreign nationals with work permits, some whom are illegal immigrants, to become police officers in the sanctuary state. Democratic legislators with a supermajority in the Illinois House and Senate passed legislation in June that opens law enforcement jobs to thousands of illegal immigrants enrolled in the Deferred Action Childhood Arrivals program, as well as thousands of other foreign nationals with work permits from the federal government. Well, if you're part of DACA right now, aren't you currently legal? And whether you're legal or illegal, how can a non-U.S. citizen be a police officer?
Right. No, I wonder about the constitutionality of it. That is going to be immediately challenged, I think.
Said an individual against whom immigration action has been deferred by the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services under the federal DACA process is allowed to apply for the position of police officer, deputy sheriff, special policeman, subject to specified requirements, a summary of the legislation says. So they're not talking about illegal immigrants, as the story states.
Right.
Because if you're inside the DACA process, you're technically legal.
Right. Yeah.
Article on Breitbart doesn't say that. It says some who are illegal immigrants. I don't see where they specify where that would be. And they say in the sanctuary state of California, Gavin Newsom made it possible for illegal immigrants to become police officers on the local, county, and state levels. But are they talking about
people who came here illegally, but are now legal?
I don't know.
I don't know that either.
Yeah. Because in the legislation it says if you're under the DACA process, which means or the process, any individual whom immigration action has been deferred, which means you're in here legally at that point if it's been deferred, unless you miss a court date. Right?
Right. But it's temporary, but
it's temporary.
You're here
yes.
legally.
Yes, it's temporary, but it's right.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of questions there.
Yeah. Ton of questions on that.
listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Carly, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Two stories, one from Friday. Representative Jim Jordan shared what he called smoking gun documents proving Facebook censored Americans on behalf of the Biden administration in a lengthy social media thread. He wrote the Facebook Files Part 1, Smoking Gun Documents Prove Facebook Censored Americans because of Biden White House pressure, before diving into a lengthy thread reminiscent of the Twitter files used earlier this year to disclose once internal documents given to journalists once Elon Musk bought the social media platform X.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Twitter. Never before released internal documents subpoenaed by the Judiciary Committee prove that Facebook and Instagram censors posts and changed their content moderation policies because of unconstitutional pressure from the Biden White House, Jordan wrote on X, formerly known as Twitter. That's actually in the Fox News article.
All right.
So tweeted, X'd. I X'd today. Was that,
Yeah.
Nah, it doesn't.
No.
Be interesting to see. I'd like to see a hearing where I can see all of those, explained it and put in context. Also, Rand Paul has announced an official criminal referral to the Department of Justice with regard to Dr. Anthony Fauci. Paul pointed to an email from February of 2020 in which Fauci detailed a call with British medical researcher Jeremy Farrar, who was director of the Wellcome Trust at the time. We talked about this last week, by the way.
Right.
According to Fauci, those on the task force call, including Francis Collins, former director of the National Human Genome Research Institute, and other highly credible scientists with expertise in evolutionary biology, expressed concern about the fact, upon viewing the sequences of several isolates of the COVID virus, that there were mutations in the virus that would be most unusual to have evolved naturally in bats, and that there was a suspicion that this mutation was intentionally inserted. The suspicion was heightened by the fact that scientists in Wuhan are known to have been working on gain-of-function experiments to determine the molecular mechanisms associated with bat viruses adapting to human infection, and the outbreak originated in Wuhan, Fauci wrote, according to a screenshot of the newly unredacted email shared by Real Clear Politics. This directly contradicts everything he said in a committee hearing to me, denying absolutely that they funded any gain of function, and it's absolutely a lie. Wow. Because he said it. This was Fauci.
Yeah.
The suspicion was heightened by the fact that the scientists in Wuhan University are known to have been working on gain-of-function experiments. Wow. This directly contradicts everything that Fauci said in a committee hearing to me, denying absolutely that they funded any gain-of-function, and it's absolutely a lie. That's why I sent an official criminal referral to the Department of Justice, Paul wrote on X, formerly known as Twitter, on Saturday. In July 2021, Paul reminded Fauci that lying to Congress is a federal crime, suggesting that Fauci had done so on the gain-of-function research conducted. During the heated exchange, Fauci insisted he had never lied before Congress during prior testimony, telling Paul that you don't know what you're talking about. Remember that argument back and forth? Fauci further denied that the National Institutes of Health funded gain-of-function research, despite Paul citing a journal article titled Discovery of a Rich Gene Pool of Bat SARS-Related Coronaviruses. Paul, who graduated from Duke University School of Medicine, was a practicing doctor before being elected to Congress. I notice that you don't have Democrats anymore saying, well, he's not a virologist.
Yeah, right.
I don't hear that anymore.
Yeah. Wow. Walls are closing in for Fauci, too. It was inevitable.
Well, remember early on when he played the game of what gain of function was, and the criticism of Fauci was at that point, well, he's changed the definition now.
Right. Right.
And as we have said, well, forget about definitions. Were you doing experiments that made it easier? However you do it, that made it easier for an animal virus jump to human.
Right. Real simple, yes or no.
Yeah. If you don't want to use gain of function, use that term. Because they got, remember we said, he's using the term.
Right.
He's not talking about what he actually did, and we noticed it right away.
Yeah. Well, and because when all that was going down, the left had control of social media. We know that now. They certainly had the control of the narrative, whether it was Hunter's laptop or COVID. And you don't dare talk about the lab leak theory. We'll close down your X account.
I've been banned from X.
I've been banned from X. And
I've been 86th from X.
Yes. And they thought I've said it before, they thought they had won everything. They could forever control the conversation. And how could you not? The narrative was fully under control. This Rand Paul is such a nuisance. Okay, fine. I'll go play the dance in full James Comey, Mayorkas style with his arrogance. Well, that's not gain of function. That's not very simple. Yes or no? Did you manipulate the virus to make it more dangerous and contagious to humans? I mean, we're only talking about a global pandemic. We're literally talking about a global pandemic.
Did you hear that the number of COVID cases, hospitalizations went up last week after going down?
Yeah.
For week upon week upon week.
Right.
And I'm thinking to myself, okay, let's get ready, blue states.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean,
I don't think anything will happen.
No, I don't.
Even if it increases,
I don't think there's any political will. I don't think anybody's
even
paying
the blue
attention
states.
anymore on at all. I just don't. I don't. I mean, outside of hospitals and people who have compromised immune systems, but I don't think anybody, in terms of the political will to, try and, I don't know, put whatever policy in place, I don't think it's there. I think it's gone. But there is a growing political will to get to the bottom of it and find out how it happened and find out who's responsible, at least to the extent that we have authority over, and we can hold these individuals responsible. And Fauci is at the top of that list. What can be done about China? I don't have the answers, but I can tell you right now that just like we said with intellectual property rights, if the entire world, who just, by the way, is affected during a global pandemic, put the pressure on China, then maybe we could see something. But I don't know what that is. But at the very least, within our jurisdiction, in terms of public servants and people responsible, yes, we have that reach, and we should get to the bottom of it to make sure it will never happen again.
And we talked about last week some of the emails that had come out about you had those members, the people making decisions, that the reason that they didn't want to say, well, look, we're not sure, it could be either, is because they were afraid of offending China.
Right.
And they were clear about it in the emails. as we read to you last week.
Right. Yep.
Think about that. They were afraid of offending China. So everything was actually correct.
Right.
You think about that. I mean, you go. I mean, we talk about the Hunter Biden laptop, the censoring that happened, and then you think about COVID and the censoring that happened, and where we went as a society, and where we're coming out now with it. Oh, there's another story. I mean, speaking of everything else, do you see that the head of the NAACP in Oakland? See the letter that she wrote? Oh my God! That to defund the police was wrong. Here it is. This was on News Nation. Oakland NAACP President Cynthia Adams discussed a letter she wrote calling for officials in the city to declare an emergency on crime and blasted the movement to defund the police, our district attorney's unwillingness to charge and prosecute people who murder and commit life-threatening serious crimes, the proliferation of anti-police rhetoric, and progressive policies and failed leadership. This is from the Oakland head of the NAACP.
Wow.
In the letter, Adams wrote, failed leadership, including the movement to defund the police, our district attorney's unwillingness to charge and prosecute people who murder and commit life-threatening serious crimes, and the proliferation of anti-police rhetoric have created a heyday for Oakland criminals. If there are no consequences for committing crime in Oakland, crime will continue to soar. People are moving out of Oakland in droves. They are afraid to venture out of their homes to go to work, shop, or dine in Oakland, and this is destroying economic activity. Businesses, small and large, struggle and close. Tax revenues vanish, and we're creating the notorious doom loop where life in our city continues to spiral downward. We are in a crisis, and elected leaders must declare a state of emergency and bring resources from other cities, the county, and the state to end this crisis. We are 500 police officers short of the number that experts say Oakland needs. Our 911 system does not work. Residents now know that help will not come when danger confronts them. Worse, criminals know that too. Wow. Could be a conservative.
Yeah.
Head of the NAACP.
It was a few conservatives along the way.
I'd like to see her comments in 2020.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Conservatives were saying that a few years ago. What were they saying back then? Well, it's just like in D.C. In March, don't believe all the hype in the media. That's not what's happening here in D.C. A few months later, they're murdering people in the streets.
Duh.
This was always going to happen.
There was no other conclusion.
Yeah, right.
Possible.
Right.
866-90 Red Eye.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Could be a big day, I mean, for just the whole Biden administration. You think about it. I mean, this has the potential. And unhappy Devin Archer believes that the Biden family didn't back him up when he was busted. Mm-hmm. Now he's going to jail looking for anything he can get in order to now the Democrats will say because he's looking to get anything he can get or, a letter from the Republicans to the judge. Maybe he can get out of, jail time. So
sure.
He may be willing to lie, but he'll be under oath.
Right.
And a lot of the stuff, too, that you think about it now, that because there's so many sources that the Republicans are getting it from, the warning would be, we just want you to confirm what the other sources are saying.
Well, no, really, any thorough
right.
investigation is going to be that. You're going to try and corroborate pretty much everything with everyone because there are so many right now, so many pieces of this huge puzzle, but they're all coming together.
But the thing about Devon Archer, because everybody's been focused on the fact of that, well, he can say that Joe Biden talked to these people. Well, can he say where the money went? Can he help with the money? Does he know where the money went? Who helped? Let's put it this way. Here's a question to ask. Mm-hmm. If Hunter was, he was a cocaine addict. If everything he did was completely dysfunctional because he was a cocaine addict, who set up the 20 LLCs? Who set up all the bank accounts? Who came up with the idea to send all the money? Was it Biden's brothers? Who came up with this?
Right.
This was quite sophisticated. If he's a cocaine addict, then who did all of this?
Yeah, he didn't do that all by himself. That's a great point.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.